Yes, so we are recording. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. We're going to have a great time today. So let me put up this slide. Hold on for 1 second. Okay, share screen. Do all kinds of little manipulations here. So I'm so glad that you're all here. So anyway, Aram, you're jumping the gun there. Okay, hold on. Okay, so let's see here. Share screen. It's going to be here. Okay, very good. This. All right, share screen. And we're going to go to slideshow and share. All right, so now in your chat window, go ahead and let's see here. Is it working yet? What's happening? There we go. Okay, which of these 6 apply to you? All right, stress. If you've got too much stress in your life, you're stressed out too much of the time, put in a 1. If you're tired too often, you feel tired, you feel fatigued too often in your life, put a 2. Pain, if you experience pain far too frequently, you don't want this pain, you feel pain at all, put in a 3. If you have gut issues, bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation, then the list goes on. If you have any gut issues, type in a number 4. If you have sleep issues, go ahead and put in a number 5. You have difficulty sleeping, insomnia, whatever the case may be. If you have any chronic condition, whether it's diabetes, whether it's chronic fatigue, Hashimoto's, migraines, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, put in a number 6. Okay. So when we look at the chat window, let's see what we got going here. Okay. All right. Just want to kind of get a sense of where everybody is at. Okay, so we got stress and time. We got everything going on. So everybody's got all kinds of different things going on. So this will be good. That helps me so that I can try to address as many issues as possible. Okay. If you're perfectly healthy, you can put in none. Great. Awesome. Okay. So really, really great. Okay, so I'm just gonna start off by sharing a little bit about, by the way, thank you for sharing that. Thank you, because that helps me to get a sense and a feel where everybody's at, because there's a lot of things that people are confronted by and dealing with. Okay, so let's look at, hold on for a second. I want to see, hold on for, I'm going to stop the sharing for a second because I think something's not quite working right. So let me check to see here. Okay. All right. It should be back on camera. It's been a while since I've been on Zoom, so forgive me, please. Okay. So now let's see here. I'm going to try to do this again so it should show up properly. Okay. So share screen. And okay, that's not it. It's not working. Hold on, slideshow. No, definitely not working. Hold on. Hold on. I'll get this to work at some point. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Slideshow from current. Just this. Share screen. And here. Now it's working, I think. Can everybody with that? Okay, good. We're on. All right. So let's start off with a little bit about information about lifestyle medicine. Now, here's the challenge that we all face. All of us, we are all living in an overfed, undernourished, hyper medicated world. Here we go. So we've got all kinds of challenges all around us all the time. So there's additives in the processed foods. Farming practices are not as what they used to be, and the soil has been eroded. Our new normal diet is not anything close to a healthy diet for most people. Medications abound. Most people are on medications. We've got so many people on pharmaceutical drugs. Sedentary lifestyle, far too many of us are sitting down far too much. We're spending less time outdoors, and disrupted sleep patterns are something that are rather common. If we look at how all of these practices affect us, what we see in the United States is that we've got the effect of all of these practices of this lifestyle. Heart disease, cancer, and stroke account for more than half of all the deaths every single year. 86% of our nation's healthcare costs are spent treating people with chronic disease. 70% of all Americans are overweight and obese right now, and it's growing. It's still continuing to grow. 70 million Americans have hypertension with an elevated risk of stroke and heart attack. I've done studies with the CEO executives that I speak for frequently, and it is clear that so many people in high-powered positions have hypertension. I see it all the time. 100+ million Americans are projected to be diabetic by 2050. That's alarming. And 130 million Americans are affected by chronic disease. That's 40% of the population. In my estimation, I think it's even more. And it's really a serious problem. So it's something that we have to be considering all the time, because we have problems with our population. And as a result of this is something that affects everybody that's working, especially if you have a company, if you have an organization, you have issues. 157 million workers, that's almost half the population in the United States, have chronic disease. It's so significant. High blood pressure, diabetes, smoking, physical inactivity, and obesity account for $36.4 billion in missing work. Wow. And in the financial burden, if you're in an organization, 54% increase in type 1 and type 2 diabetes, total direct cost $622 billion. Increase in cardiovascular disease, $818 billion. 50% of adults with obesity, $580 billion. $370 billion in annual retail drug prescriptions. This is a lot of money. And this is going to bankrupt our country if we don't get this under control. It is significant. Now, this is at the large scale, but at the individual scale, it also is costly. Lower quality of life and increased mortality, frequent cause of bankruptcy. Yes, people get chronic disease and end up losing their life savings because of all the medical treatments, especially with cancer, especially with heart disease. 41% of diabetics experience financial hardship due to medical bills. Diabetes mellitus type 2 is estimated on average to spend $16,750 per year in additional medical expenses. For coronary vascular disease, it's $19,000 per person per year. That's exorbitant. So no wonder people feel like they're drowning in a sea of worry. With less money for retirement, increasing health insurance costs, constant medications, poor quality of life, chronic diseases, shorter life expectancy, and increased medical costs. What's the medical society, what's the American Medical Association's response to all this? For years, it's been a poor one. For when it comes to chronic disease, the American Medical Association has been like a group of doctors coming into a kitchen and grabbing the mops because they see the water on the floor. So what they're doing is mopping up the floor without ever bothering to go and look to see, oh, the drain to the sink is plugged and the faucet's on. Let's turn off the faucet and unplug the sink. So that's what we're doing in the medical world. We don't reverse chronic diseases by just throwing more pills and more treatment procedures at it. It doesn't work. So we need a radical approach to solving this problem of chronic disease. And so I remember this quote from Albert Einstein. It's very powerful to really consider this quote, that the significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. Now, what Einstein was telling us here was a couple of things. One, we have to be able to think at a different level. We have to raise the level of our thinking. And two, we have to take responsibility for the fact that we created our own problems, but not intentionally. Not intentionally. We created our problems subconsciously. Subconsciously. Nobody in their right mind wakes up on their 10th birthday and thinks to themselves, oh, I think I'm going to have all the pizza and beer I can handle for the next 50 years, have rip-roaring diabetes by the time I'm 35, and have a heart attack by the time I'm 50. Nobody thinks that, but it happens. And so it happens subconsciously. So what we have to be able to do is take a massively radical approach. And in 2004, a group of physicians and healthcare professionals decided to do just that. They got together and created a new branch of the American Medical Association, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. Lifestyle medicine, a completely different approach. It's not more of the same, not even close. It's completely different. To explain to you what lifestyle medicine is all about. Lifestyle medicine is the use of evidence-based lifestyle therapeutic intervention, including a whole food, plant predominant eating pattern, regular physical activity, restorative sleep, stress management, avoidance of risky substances, and positive social connection as a primary modality. Primary, not secondary, not after the fact, not after the pills. No, primary modality. First, let's do this first. Delivered by clinicians trained and certified in this specialty to prevent, treat, and often reverse chronic disease. This is a radical approach. This is a radical approach. And it's built on these pillars. These are the pillars of lifestyle medicine. A plant predominant eating pattern, nutrition, physical activity, emotional well-being, alcohol, tobacco, and harmful substance reduction, healthy relationships, sleep, and then I added a seventh pillar, which is hydration. Hydration is critically important for our health. So we need to be able to do this. This is what's so exciting. It's a radical approach. And what we show in the evidence is that we're able to actually do a better job at preventing, reversing, and treating chronic disease than medications could ever do. I love what Dr. Wayne Dysinger said. He's one of the founders of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. He said this, that lifestyle medicine is the foundation of healthcare because 80% of healthcare right now is chronic disease. That's what we're dealing with. 80% of chronic disease is lifestyle. So if the disease is caused by lifestyle, the foundation ought to be a lifestyle treatment. Doesn't that make sense? It does. It certainly does. It makes sense to a lot of physicians. A lot of us went into medical school really wanting to make a difference. And this is what lifestyle medicine affords us to be able to do. Now, when we look at what lifestyle medicine is able to help us to do, to empower us to do, we look at this. If we look at the pattern of our lives, we see this, that back in 1920, in the United States, life expectancy was a mere 45 years. Wow, isn't that shocking? 45 years back in 1920, that was the average life expectancy. Things got better. Things got better. And then what happened by 2020, life expectancy improved from 45 years all the way up to 78 years. But what we noticed, because of the preponderance of chronic disease in the United States, we've seen so much of the quality of our life deteriorate, especially by the time we get to about 55, 60. And it starts to deteriorate rather quickly from things like cancer, kidney disease, stroke, coronary artery disease, diabetes mellitus, hypertension, obesity. All right, so all kinds of things, even erectile dysfunction, we see that as an indicator of life. So that's what we see in terms of the quality of life that's been deteriorating. What we attempt to do in lifestyle medicine is do this. We want to improve the quality of life to make sure that it's optimal, to full optimal quality of life. And then that you extend your life. Nobody lives forever, but we want you to be able to live at the highest level and the highest quality of life as long as you possibly can, at least to 100, at least to 100, and then die short with no suffering. Die short, just like my godfather did. My godfather died at 86. He died after a night of dancing with my godmother. And my godmother absolutely lived even longer. She lived to 102 and died short. She was sharp as a tack all the way to the very end. She died a happy person. Now, what we show in the research is this. In this research study, this is back in 2009, after a follow-up of about 8 years, over 23,000 participants between 35 to 65, we evaluated just 4 lifestyle factors. A body mass index of less than 30, so they kept themselves from being overweight. No tobacco use, 3.5 hours a week or more of physical activity, a high intake of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and low red meat consumption. Now, what we showed in the research, following these people for almost 8 years, following the people who followed all 4, just 4 of these healthy lifestyle factors resulted in a 78% decreased risk of developing chronic disease compared to those who followed 0 of these healthy lifestyle factors. That's amazing. That's amazing difference. So we're on a bandwagon to really make a difference in changing healthcare. And what's very exciting to me right now is that we're actually infusing the teaching of lifestyle medicine into the academic programs all over the United States. It's so exciting. I'm so excited about this. We've got academic programs in medical schools, in colleges, in residency programs all over the country. I thought I'd list some of them for you, but this is the map. This is the map of all the different places. This is right from the Lifestyle Medicine website. But I wanted to show you this. I'm so excited about this. So we have lifestyle medicine and internal medicine residencies. All right, St. Luke's, the Wright Center. I mean, I'm not going to list them all. Kaiser Permanente, Northern California. I mean, all over the place. Preventive medicine residencies, family medicine residencies. Look at all of these. This is awesome. All right, these are all residency programs that are incorporating lifestyle medicine as part of their curriculum. We're teaching doctors about lifestyle medicine as the primary tool to use in treating their patients, other residencies as well. So it's very exciting times. We are out to change the face of healthcare. In addition, we have medical schools that actually are changing the curriculum. The University of South Carolina in Greenville, they have a complete lifestyle medicine curriculum. It's so exciting. All these other schools are doing this too. So medical schools where we're teaching up and coming physicians. We have bachelor's programs where you can actually take on a bachelor program in lifestyle medicine. And then master's and doctorate degree programs. I just heard Loma Linda has now a master's in plant-based nutrition. Yes, indeed. So it's very exciting. We've got all kinds of new programs evolving that are really empowering people to be able to do this. In addition, lifestyle medicine, some of the experts in lifestyle medicine work together as a team. And we realize we need to train existing physicians right now. So people who are practicing medicine, and so they actually published in the Journal of Family Practice. So we're working with family practice because that's where primary care is primarily done, is in family practice. So they published just January, just last month, all right, an unprecedented supplement titled A Family Physician's Guide to Lifestyle Medicine, a series of reviews and practice briefs introducing the field and implementation of lifestyle medicine. And it's free online. Anyone can get it. And I'm going to send you the link in the follow-up email that I'm going to send to you with all these slides so you can get all this information. But this is so exciting. If your doctor is not aware of this, you want to make sure they get it. They need to read this to be up on all the research, all the latest information. So this is to be able to share. If your physician is not a plant-based doctor or not on board with lifestyle medicine yet, you want to get this and share it with them and make sure they read it. You give them a homework assignment and you tell them I told you to. Okay, so it's real important. So it's very exciting that we're able to influence them. In addition, we're trying to make differences in the workplace because that's a huge arena for being able to influence healthy lifestyle. So we are actually instituting lifestyle and performance medicine in the workplace. Very exciting. Many chronic conditions can be prevented, treated, and improved, and even reversed through lifestyle modifications. We know this. And this program will allow us to promote weight loss and healthy weight maintenance and decrease the risk of type 2 diabetes and reduce cardiovascular disease risk factors, including lowering triglycerides and biomarkers of cardiovascular disease, effectively reducing hypertension, insulin resistance, which is the risk factor for diabetes, and oxidative stress, inflammation. So this is very exciting news that we're doing this. Just to give you some idea of how significant, how important this is, the United States Air Force is now incorporating lifestyle and performance medicine for the troops. They are doing that now. So here's a quote from one of the physicians. All right, so through the lifestyle and performance medicine approach, I can manage my patient's health, help them actively reverse disease, and set the patients up for success, said Major Reagan Stegman, flight surgeon and lifestyle and performance medicine physician, 10th Operational Medical Readiness Squadron at the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado. We are not just treating the disease, but also reversing diseases and taking patients off medication because we are addressing the root cause of the chronic disease. We are not just slapping on a temporary pharmaceutical fix for disease symptoms. We actively work to address the core causes of chronic diseases, such as high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and prediabetes. So patients no longer have to rely on managing symptoms with medications. And that just got released just this past June. Fabulous. In addition, so that's the Air Force, that's big. Let's go even bigger. How about an entire city? So Mayor Eric Adams, the new mayor of New York City, who happens to be completely plant-based and reversed his diabetes, working with lifestyle medicine physicians. All right, he is the mayor of New York City, and he has implemented the New York City Health and Hospitals expand access to lifestyle medicine services citywide. This is so exciting. If it can happen in New York City, it can happen anywhere. This is the most comprehensive expansion of lifestyle medicine programming in the entire United States. This was just released this month. Very, very exciting news. So we are making a difference. It's going to be awesome. It is absolutely going to be awesome. We're out to change healthcare, and this is what we're doing. And I'm so glad and so proud to be a part of it. A little bit about me and my journey and how I got into lifestyle medicine. So my education, I started, my undergraduate was at Cal Lutheran University down in Thousand Oaks. I graduated with a bachelor's in biological sciences, pre-med back in 1980. And then I went to medical school at UC Davis School of Medicine, spent 3 years there, but my research led me into the School of Public Health. And I went to UCLA School of Public Health and finished with my master's in public health, specializing in behavioral sciences and health promotion and health education back in 1988. But how I got started with lifestyle medicine happened right here in this gap between my undergraduate studies and going to medical school. After I graduated from college, I worked for a couple of years in the hospital as a pathologist assistant. And what really started everything for me, and I'll stop to share here for a second. So what really started everything for me as far as learning about lifestyle medicine was I was working with Dr. Glover as a pathologist assistant. And one of the things that I got to do was conduct autopsies. Yes, I know. All right, so autopsies, amazing. I got to see inside the body. One autopsy changed everything for me. So it was a woman in her mid-70s who had come to the hospital, and she had shortness of breath, and they just admitted her and they were starting to do a workup, and then she passed away within just a few hours. So by law back then, if a person passed away within 24 hours of admission, that we needed to do an autopsy in order to determine the cause of death. The next day, Dr. Glover, the senior pathologist, and I started to do the autopsy. As we began, Dr. Glover said, "Ruben, take careful note. We may never see this again." Now, mind you, I paid very close attention to everything Dr. Glover said. He had been a pathologist at that point for nearly 20 years and a general surgeon before that for 7 years. He was extremely knowledgeable, and he taught me so much. So as we started to do the autopsy, he was absolutely right. This woman in her mid-70s had internal organs as pristine and as flawless as a newborn. This was shocking. How could this be? It was amazing. In fact, there is a flap of tissue that covers the intestines of in our abdomen. It's called the omentum. Now, this omentum in everybody else that I ever did an autopsy on was filled with fat. Yes, that's where we trap our belly fat. In this woman, her omentum was clear. You could see right through it. That was extraordinary. I had never seen that before, and neither had Dr. Glover. Careful dissection revealed that she had an undiagnosed ventral septal defect in her heart, a hole, a perforation in the chambers of her heart. Dr. Glover said, "This is extraordinary. Most people with this particular defect would rarely live past their 20s. Here she was in her mid-70s. She beat the odds by 50 years. How many of you would like to beat the odds by 50 years? Yeah. Dr. Glover was intrigued and he needed to know more. So he asked to meet with the family. He wanted to share what he had discovered, but also find out some more about her. So there was a meeting and I got to sit in. Dr. Glover shared what he had discovered with the family. And then he asked, how did she live? That's a good question. Well, the family disclosed that she was a Seventh-day Adventist who followed the rules of the Seventh-day Adventist. So this, in case you don't know, the Seventh-day Adventists are a very particular sect of Christianity, and they follow biblical principles when it comes to lifestyle. No meat, no dairy, no eggs, no processed foods, no alcohol, no refined sugar, a garden in her backyard, walk 5 miles a day every day of her life for over 40 years that they knew about. She was a positive, encouraging, and supportive person. Amazing. So that led to a series of discussions between Dr. Glover and myself, discussing the connection between lifestyle and longevity. And I started to do research on the Seventh-day Adventists. Back then, the only place you could find the information on this was in National Geographic. And so it was rather interesting to be able to discover more about this and the blue zones, the 5 longest living groups of people on the face of the planet. It was extraordinary. Dr. Glover was my first lifestyle medicine mentor. And this information was in the back of my head as I went off to medical school at UC Davis. And I started realizing that most of the training in medical school was all about pharmaceutical drugs and following the 3-box system of assessment, diagnosis, then treatment. I'm an out-of-the-box kind of thinker. And I realized that there's a better way because I saw it for myself firsthand with that autopsy. Things can be done a completely different way. So I started doing my independent research on looking at lifestyle and longevity. And my advisor said, Ruben, you're onto something here, but we don't have the resources for you. Why don't you try looking into public health? I didn't know what public health was back then, so I went. I loved it. It was amazing. And when I graduated from UCLA, I realized that I was no longer interested in treating disease. I was passionate about promoting health and preventing disease. So I chose to pursue lifestyle medicine on my own because there was nothing called lifestyle medicine back then. It didn't exist. I was ahead of my time. In 2016, I went to a conference on nutrition in Southern California. And at that conference, there was a presentation by Dr. Leonov from Sacramento, and it was all about lifestyle medicine. I was shocked. I was surprised. I was excited. And I checked out the website. I said, oh my God, this is exciting. And I signed up. I became a member immediately. I went to my first lifestyle medicine conference in October 2017, went to my second lifestyle medicine conference in October 2018. And at that second conference, I took the board exam to become a certified lifestyle medicine professional. And I'm proud to say that I passed my exam. So I'm one of the first board certified lifestyle medicine professionals in the world. And I'm very, very excited to be a part of that. Not only that, I'm also a member of the Institute of Coaching out of Harvard Medical School, out of McLean Hospital. Many of us in lifestyle medicine are a part of this. But I get to live into this quote that Thomas Edison said well over 100 years ago, that the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will instruct his patient in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. That's exciting. So I'm not a medical doctor. I really consider myself a doctor of health. Yes, that's a big difference, big, big difference. Now, if you actually Google my name, you'll also see that I did write these 3 books. They are the same. I'm the same guy. Yes, I've coached swimmers for over 45 years. And it's all about performance. To me, being in sports has taught me so much about health and vitality. It's really important. I believe that the greatest wealth that every one of us can have is our health, as Virgil said well over 2,000 years ago. But many of us don't, many people, and you may know people like this, many people discount this. They don't really focus on their health as the greatest wealth. They focus on money. In fact, when the Dalai Lama was asked what he found what surprised him most about humanity, the Dalai Lama answered, man sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then dies having never really lived. Wow. It's very sobering. It's very sobering. So if we're going to be successful at living a healthy life, we need to be able to have a plan to be able to do so. In 1995, I was confronted because I had ruptured my Achilles tendon 4.5 years earlier, and I was 55 pounds heavier than you see me today. I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and high blood sugar. And my friend called me chubby, and I realized that I needed to make a change in my life. And I went back to the fundamentals that I learned from being in sports all my life. And so there's a 4-point plan that I use for myself, and I've used it for everybody and everybody that I work with. So I say that there are 4 steps to being able to create a permanent, thriving, healthy, happy lifestyle change. Number 1, we have to recognize what Einstein said: the significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. So we have to change our subconscious wiring, our mindset, our thinking, our attitude, our consciousness. That's the first part. We must be able to do that. But most of us have never learned how to rewire our subconscious mind. Fortunately, I've had many teachers, wonderful teachers, who have taught me how to do just that. And that's what I share with people. Number 2, we need a proven strategy. Why? Because doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results, is the definition of, you already know, it's insanity. So let's not go there. Let's use something that's evidence-based, no gimmicks. Third, we have to be intelligent and create a structure for support and accountability. We must do that. Community, collaboration creates success. Nobody is successful by themselves. So we need to be able to have that support and accountability. And then finally, we need to develop a track record of consistency, being disciplined and committed and dedicated in our actions and behaviors, because consistency leads to us being able to develop habits. Habits produce results. Habits produce results. Okay, not intentions, no, habits. So we need to be able to develop those habits. That's what we need to be able to do. Now, this is a no-nonsense approach, and guess what? It takes work. And it's all about making progress. It's not about perfection. I emphasize this over and over and over again to all my clients all the time, all my students. All right, this is not about being perfect. Let go of the attachment to being perfect. It's not about that. It's about making consistent, steady progress. That's all that matters. What I do as a lifestyle medicine professional, a few things. I do lifestyle medicine consultations where I work with people one-on-one, and I develop an individualized plan just for you. It's an awesome approach to be able to get you started to really look at in depth at what you're dealing with and what you need to work on. Another program that I offer, I love this program, but this is where we create that collaboration, we create that support and accountability. It's my group coaching program. So it's the Evolving Health 12-week lifestyle medicine immersion program. And the next program is going to start March 26th. I'm going to send you all the information. It's fabulous because it allows you to be around like-minded people who are committed and dedicated to supporting you, and you support each other. And I coach you and guide you all along the way. And it's fantastic. Absolutely works. And we have lots of training in it. We've got 2 full weekends where we cover a lot of information. The first weekend, we deal with the inner mind. We're going to take care of that subconscious wiring. I'm going to teach you how to rewire your subconscious mind. In the second weekend, I'm going to teach you the science-based approach, the proven strategy, so you can set yourself up for success. But even more important, I'm going to teach you how to develop those habits, because that's the key. If you don't know how to develop habits, if you don't know the science of habits, and yes, there's a science to habits, I'm going to teach you that science so you are armed in being able to change your habits no matter what area of your life you want to improve. So it really makes a difference. One of my graduates is, I'm very, very proud of her, and this is Donna. She's a retired nurse. In April of 2018, she was in my program, and she said, Ruben, I've already been plant-based for 8 years, but I'm still struggling with atrial fibrillation, hypertension, and weight. And so she came into my program, and we started making those small changes in all the different spokes of lifestyle. All right, so here is her a year and a half later, it's 60 pounds lighter. And this is her a year later after that, and more after that, it's 70 pounds lighter. But you know what? She hasn't stopped, because the thing about it is because she learned how to change her habits. Habits produce results, and there's practices involved. And now she walks all the time. She's walking all through COVID. She was walking. All right. She was walking. And she continued to improve and increase her ability to walk. In fact, she got to the point where she could actually walk. She ran the Roseville Turkey Trot 10K in 1 hour and 41 minutes on Thanksgiving Day, this past Thanksgiving, at the age of 69. That's a long way. In fact, she had to outperform herself even more because she actually completed the California International Marathon back in December. She did. It was awesome. It was awesome. So it's just extraordinary. I just saw Donna just the other day, just absolutely phenomenal. And she will tell you she's living her best life right now. She is living her best life right now. She's a graduate of my group coaching program. So she's extraordinary. In addition to this, I also do programs for the workplace. So I do the workplace lifestyle and performance medicine immersion program. So I do that with organizations as well. All right. So I'm going to stop the sharing just to give you a lot of it. So let me go back to, I'll go back to the chat window for a second. Okay. All right. Yes, Aram, I was a Zoom master a while back. I'm rusty. Okay. Very good. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. Really, really great. Okay. So now let me say this. So if you have any questions, go ahead and start typing them into the chat window. I'm going to first address a few questions that were sent to me by email. So I want to do those first. Okay. So let's see here. Let me do this. Okay. Good. That. Okay. Good. Now my screen looks much better. Okay. All right. And then if you want to raise your hand for a question, you can do that too. But I'm going to start with 3. I'm going to start with 3 because these are really great. All right. So from Australia, I can't do the accent. I'm sorry. So let's see. She says, I have fibromyalgia, migraines, chronic fatigue, and Hashimoto's. So I'm always in pain and tired. I have gained a massive 50 kilograms or 110 pounds. I'm determined to get my life back, play with my kids, go back to work, and have quality of life again. I'm now vegan and slowly transitioning to whole food plant-based, which is making a big difference. I'm wondering if there is anything specific I can do to help my body. I aim to be mostly pain-free. And what would you recommend I do with all these illnesses? I'm also worried about excess skin. Is there any way to make it less? Great question. First of all, my heart goes out to you, okay? Because this is difficult. It's miserable. It is. It really is. Being afflicted with a chronic disease, several chronic diseases, is no fun for anybody. So I really get it. And I really want to help you because I want to give you hope. Next thing I want to tell you is that there's hope. There absolutely is. Dr. Dean Ornish says this, that all chronic disease is the same disease. All chronic disease is the same disease. It just has different faces. Just has different faces. So depending on our genetics, depending on our lifestyle, a chronic disease condition is going to express itself in different ways. So when we're in this, now the way I boil it down is this, that when we're in the sympathetic state, it really boils down to the central nervous system. When we're in the sympathetic state far too much, the scales tip, we're in the sympathetic state far too much, things start to break down. So things have broken down for you. You've got lots of concerns, lots of issues going on there. So, but it's the same thing. Your body is in distress. It's in distress. So a couple of things that I want to recommend to you. Okay. So a lot of times people want to look for what's one thing, what's one supplement, or what's one pill, or what's one thing that I can do to make this better. But that's the medical approach. The medical approach is, oh, you got this symptom, I've got this pill. So lifestyle medicine is a completely radical different approach. What we're going to do is we're going to look at your whole lifestyle. We're going to look at everything. We need to look at your hydration, your nutrition. We need to look at your physical activity, what you can and cannot do. We need to look at your sleep patterns. We need to look at your emotional well-being, stress management, and your mindset, everything. We need to look at all those factors to determine what we can work on, what we can improve, and make some steady changes. Being able to do this, it's a very holistic and total approach. So it's not just trying to do specific symptoms. So we have to get rid of that mindset. That thinking is the old medical treatment mindset. So that's what we want to be able to do. I'm so glad that you're taking on whole food plant-based. I would encourage you to do more of that. In fact, I'm going to encourage you to go to my YouTube channel. I'm going to send you the link. Don't worry, you're going to get all that. So go to my YouTube channel and watch the webinar, Freedom from Autoimmune Disorders. That's the one that I would have you specifically go to. That's probably as far as specific, there's where you want to go. Now, the best thing that I would recommend to you is to start using Dr. Brooke Goldner's hypernourishing protocol. So that means you get your Vitamix out and you start working with those greens. So you pack it in 75% with greens, 25% with fruit, just to make sure it's more palatable. You add in, if you got a 64-ounce Vitamix, then you're going to add in maybe about close to a quarter cup of flaxseed or chia seeds or combination. Water up to the top of the greens. Let the Vitamix whirl around for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then drink it. At least 32 ounces a day, at least that. For you, maybe even more. I would even do that more frequently. You can count that as a meal, by the way, because it's very filling. There's a lot of food. All right. So you want to start that hypernourishing protocol, and that'll really help you a lot. Now, here's what happens when we do this the right way and we get your body to operate in the parasympathetic state more of the time. Your skin is going to actually resorb and tighten up naturally. It will do that. What you see a lot of times is when people are really overweight and they lose a lot of weight, but they lose it with an unhealthy approach, like a ketogenic diet or fasting or the bariatric surgery or any of those types of radical processes, what happens is they end up with a lot of excess skin because that their body was in the sympathetic state, was in the state of survival while they were losing the weight. There are many ways to lose weight, many ways. So I could easily make millions of dollars. I could take people out, guarantee process to lose weight. I say this one all the time. I will guarantee you lose the weight. Guarantee. I'm going to take you out to the middle of Death Valley. I'm going to leave you stranded there for 2 whole weeks with just 10 gallons of water. You will lose weight. I guarantee you. But it's not healthy and it's not sustainable. So you will be in the state of survival. You'll be in the sympathetic state. So what we want to do is tip the scales, put you in the parasympathetic state more of the time. Your body will do its job and will resorb and tighten the skin. It's a beautiful thing. It really works really well. So I hope that helps you with that. And let me go to the next question. Okay. All right. Okay. So now, let's see. The next question is about osteoarthritis. I'm 62 and was just told I have no cartilage in my left shoulder joint. A full joint replacement is probably in my future in 5 to 7 years. So I get that that's what you were told from your physician. So is a replacement an inevitable outcome? Or will a whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, along with appropriate strength training, help to keep surgery at bay? And or what do you recommend for this condition? Okay. All right. So this comes from St. Charles, Illinois. Now, here's the thing. We have to look at osteoarthritis is not caused by a deficiency of surgical procedures. All right. And the loss of cartilage is not caused by a loss of some pain medication. Now, it's not caused by that. So the osteoarthritis is an inflammatory condition. And so inflammation is going to lead to the erosion of tissue, especially when it's being abused. So inflammation, let me give you a little example of what inflammation's like. So I'm sure all of you have experienced biting your cheek at some point when you're eating, right? You're eating and you bite your cheek accidentally, and then a minute later you do it again. Like, what's up with that one? So we do that, right? We do that. And then, oh, it's tender, right? We put our tongue to the inner side of our cheek, what we call the buccal mucosa, inside our cheek. It's very tender and it's swollen. It's swollen and it's inflamed. So it's swollen, that is inflammation. Now you feel it in your cheek because you have nerve endings all over in your face and in your cheek area. So that's what you have there. So you can feel that it's inflammation, it's swollen, it's got blood vessels coming in, white blood cells coming in, all kinds of things. There's all kinds of process going on there. That's inflammation. But there's inflammation that can occur in your body that you'll never feel. So if you eat the wrong foods, if you eat foods that are animal, saturated fat, trans fats, oils, meat, dairy, eggs, processed foods, all will cause inflammation. Stress will cause inflammation. Lack of sleep will cause inflammation. There are many things that will cause inflammation in our body, and they'll cause inflammation to the inner lining of our arteries, the endothelial lining of our arteries have no nerve endings. You'll never feel it. So the thing is, there can be inflammation going on all the time. Osteoarthritis is the same thing. Now, one of the things that happens, most people don't realize, these kinds of autoimmune disorders, what happens is that we have a poor diet that ends up leading to what we call leaky gut, where there's separation in the cells in the intestinal lining. And then what happens is that foreign animal proteins can actually get into the bloodstream. Now, these foreign animal proteins, now what happens, because they are foreign and our immune system says, oh, we've got some foreign proteins we need to get rid of. But the structure of these proteins are very similar to other proteins that we have. So now what happens? So we start to get an immune reaction to not only these foreign proteins, but also the proteins that are close or related to it and that we're supposed to have in our body, which can include cartilage protein. So that's one of the things that can lead to osteoarthritis. There's many other of conditions that are similar in the nature. The mechanism is the same mechanism. So what we need to be able to do is we need to heal the gut. First and foremost, we need to heal the gut. So there's a wonderful webinar that I'm going to recommend to you, and it's Get Your Gut Healthy. All right, that's also on my YouTube channel. And it features the work of Dr. Will Bulsiewicz. Will is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So he wrote a book called Fiber Fueled, and it's fantastic. So you want to read that book, you want to get onto that, you want to heal the gut first and foremost. It makes a huge difference on how our body works. In addition, I would also recommend a strict whole food plant-based diet, drink plenty of water, absolutely work with a trainer who is going to be able to help you. My partner, April, is fantastic. I'm going to talk about her later. All right, so you want to be able to work with April Joyce. All right, she will give you the right exercises to help you. And she's also a plant-based nutritionist. All right, so you want to be able to work with that. And then you want to be able to just gradually work on healing your body from the inside. And then that will mitigate the breakdown of the cartilage. We can stymie it. And then the problem with arthritis is that the cartilage heals very slowly. So you have to be very persistent. You have to be consistent, and no kidding, you got to stick to it. So I'm not going to kid you about it. So you're going to have to really, really be on top of it. And you can't let go, can't let go. So I hope that helps you with that. All right, so that's for Linda. Okay, next question. Let me see. Sometimes I need help with sleep. Please talk about these options and any others you recommend. Magnesium supplement, dosage, and how to avoid stomach upset. Chamomile tea, and side effects. Okay. All right, this is from another Linda. All right, so when it comes to sleep, again, the medical approach is let's look at some supplement, some pill to try to address this, to see if we can make it better. So people do all kinds of things. They take melatonin, they try all different kinds of remedies, magnesium, they do all kinds of different things. Now, what the research shows is this, that they might help, and sometimes they help, but usually they only help for a limited period of time. That's usually the scenario, whether people are taking melatonin, magnesium, whatever the case may be. See, because it doesn't change the lifestyle that caused the problem with your sleep. So this is why a lifestyle medicine approach is much more comprehensive. It's really looking at everything that's affecting your sleep. And our sleep is dictated by the brain, especially it's the limbic brain. So all the particular the central features of the brain really dictate how our sleep works. And it's really amazing. It's quite complicated too. So there's lots to it. Now, I recommend for you, Linda, check out on my YouTube channel, my Sleep for Your Health webinar. So it's a wonderful webinar. I cover a lot of material. I feature 3 brilliant scientists who share lots of information about how you can actually change your lifestyle and practices that you can start to do. In my last group coaching program, I had a gentleman who was really dealing with sleep deprivation. He used to work for the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., the Department of Justice. He was wired in his head to be hypersensitive to any sound, anything unusual. He'd be on top of that, just wired for that. So he would go to sleep and he was always a light sleeper. And so as a result, what would happen, he'd hear a sound out on the street, something in the house, anything, and it would wake him up and he would stay awake for quite a while. So in the group coaching program, he took on sleep, and we worked on a lot of factors to help him with his sleep, including his diet, including his hydration, and an interesting one, I'll share this with you because he's a musician. One of the things that I coached him to do was to start playing some melodic tunes on his flute before he went to bed. Why? Because that helped him to get into a deeper parasympathetic state, to relax him and to prepare his mind for actually being able to sleep. And it's been remarkable. It's been remarkable. I mean, John is doing so much better now. I mean, he was averaging 3 to 4 hours spans in the beginning. Before he started the program, he would sleep for 3 hours, then he'd be up for an hour to 2 hours, and he was getting frequent interruptions and everything else. He's now sleeping close to 7 hours a night, straight through. Whew, it's amazing. But you have to look at all these practices, all of these things. So there's lots to work on for that as far as your sleep. All right, really great. Really great. Okay, let me go back to the chat window here for a second. Okay, let's see. Whew, got lots of things here. This is great. All right, let's see. All right. Thank you, Jenny. Let's see. Okay, great. One, I'd like to find out more about that. Okay, all right, let's see. Okay, let's see. Aram, let's see, can I go over triglycerides, especially when your overall cholesterol is low? That's a good question. Okay, triglycerides. So generally speaking, all right, general rule of thumb, triglycerides going up is usually an indicator of processed foods. Okay, more than anything else. Now, there's more to the picture, but I'm not going to teach biochemistry today. Okay, I'm just not going there. All right, so the thing is, triglycerides going up, even if your cholesterol low, that would tell me, okay, now, are you getting some processed foods in your diet? I'm wondering. All right, it's just a question. That's the first place I'm going to go. All right, then I would like, but the thing is, I would need to look at your whole dietary profile. I need to look at your stress. Need to look at your sleep pattern, your hydration, and everything else. I need to look at all of that. But that's usually one of the things that I would think of when the triglycerides are a little bit elevated when your cholesterol is still low. All right, your overall cholesterol is low. So there could be other factors going on. I'm not sure. So we'd have to look at that. All right, hope that helps you with that one, Aaron. All right, let's see, Rhonda, let's see. What about the healthiest of shakes and smoothies? Okay, and a little oil or no oil. Okay, so 2 questions there. So Rhonda, let's talk about the shakes and smoothies. So I'm going to recommend that you check out the Freedom from Autoimmune Disorders. I go through that whole protocol. I think that's the healthiest. Why? Because it's an anti-inflammatory approach. It's specifically designed to be anti-inflammatory. So I recommend that you do that. That is, in fact, that's your medicine. Think of it as medicine. It really is your medicine, because what we need today in this world is we need the right kind of medicine. Raw plants, especially greens, have so much in terms of the phytonutrients and the antioxidants and the vitamins and the minerals and all the polyphenols, everything that we need. So it's a great thing to introduce into your body. So think of it as medicine. It's wonderful to be able to do that. So I recommend those. You can go to the website smoothieshred.com, smoothieshred.com. That is Dr. Brooke Goldner's website for all the smoothies and recipes and everything else. Check them out. They're really fantastic. I drink it every day. In fact, I got one right here. I can't show you all of it, but it's green. It's not in a glass, sorry. All right, so it's packed with red, so mine's got red kale and spinach and fruit and flax seeds and chia seeds, and it's great. All right, and that's what you want. We need the flax seed and the chia seeds because they have the highest potency of omega-3 fatty acids, which is what we need to attack the inflammation. Those are the anti-inflammatory fatty acids. So we need those omega-3 fatty acids. Not from fish oil. No, the fish got it from the algae, folks. All right. So no, we need it from flax seeds and chia seeds. That's the best way to get it. All right. Oil, little oil or no oil. Okay. So I'm gonna invoke Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's spirit here right now. No oil. I hope you got that. Okay. Okay. So no oil. So, now there are many doctors now that are coming to realize that oil is inflammatory. In fact, the research shows that very clearly. I mean, we can actually measure the brachial artery inflammation with just 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and immediately makes a difference in terms of inflammatory response in the artery. I mean, it's ridiculous. All right. So the thing is, yes, there are research studies showing it's healthy for your heart. There's healthy for this, all kinds of things. There's all kinds of research studies. Yes, they can show all kinds of things, but they never look at the total picture. So you have to be careful when you're evaluating research studies. So that's the thing. They can show you the good stuff. And the people who are paying for that are usually the ones that make sure that you never see the bad stuff. So that's what's happening. And so no oil. Okay. All right, let's see. Jody asked, I'm always foiled at eating out. I am learning to just order simple salad, etc. It's tricky. Yes, indeed. However, you have some options depending on where you go. Now, in the email I'm going to send you some information from Dr. Dean Ornish and his wife, and how to eat out at restaurants and eat healthy. You can do it, but you have to be really astute at being able to look at the menu, look at what they offer, and then ask and making requests. So you don't just order what they have to offer. You have to make special requests. So it takes something to do. Now, where I live in Fair Oaks, California, there happens to be several restaurants that offer really good food that's oil-free, and it's delicious. It's amazing. So I can go to Faux Fresh. They have an oil-free vegan menu. It's fantastic. It's amazing. I can go to Zest Kitchen, which I just came from earlier today, and they have an oil-free menu. It's all plant food. It's just whole food, plant-based food, and it's fantastic, delicious, amazing. So I can go to a few places. I'm very fortunate that I can actually do that. But I can tell you this, I mean, 25 years ago, I didn't have those options. No way. So I've been strictly plant-based for 27 years now. Right now, I've had to learn to ask the right questions. I mean, I had dinner one time. I was speaking to a group of executives in Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. And we had dinner at a steakhouse. Oh my. I looked at the menu, I said, this isn't good. There's nothing on the menu that I could have. However, you have to study the menu. So I looked at the menu more carefully. And I said, oh, look at all the sides. Oh, what do they have? Oh, well, they got mushrooms. Oh, they got vegetables. Oh, they got potatoes. Oh, they got this, they got that. Okay, so I called the waiter over. I said, all right. And by the way, I love stealing what Dr. Esselstyn says, because he really made this a point a long time ago, really taught me well about this. He says, here's what you tell the waiter. So I looked at your menu and I'm a little bit confronted because I have a very specific medical condition that requires a very special diet. And I'm wondering if you can ask the chef to make something that I can eat. Otherwise, I'm probably going to have to go someplace else. Would you be so kind as to ask the chef if he would be willing to do a special meal just for me? And so the waiter goes, he says, give me a moment, goes back, and then he comes back and says, the chef says he'd be delighted to. What are your requirements? I said, so here's what I looked at in your menu. I said, the sprouts, the portobello mushrooms, all the vegetables, great. If you could do something with all those vegetables, no meat, no dairy, no eggs, none of that, and then no sugar and no alcohol. And if you could do something with all the vegetables and no oil, okay? And he wrote it all down. He says, I'll get back to you. So he went over to the chef. The chef said, he'll make something very special just for you. So everybody got served their surf and turf meals, and mine was the last to arrive. And it was this gorgeous, amazing portobello mushroom torte with, oh my God, it was just fantastic. Everybody looked at my dish and said, wow, what's that? I said, this is amazing. And I loved every moment of it. Now, the thing is, you have to learn how to ask. So it really is important that you learn, and it takes a little bit of practice to do that. Okay, let's see. Aram asked, what are the absolute best foods for the cardiovascular system? Whole food, plant-based foods. Yes. Okay, those are all the plant foods. Now, here's the thing. You want as much diversity in the foods. Okay, so you want to be able to get all the foods you possibly get. You want plenty of the greens. You want plenty of your vegetables, your whole grains, your legumes, and your fruit. You want all of those. All right, and Dr. Will Bolsowitz talks about being able to have the greatest diversity of plant foods that you possibly can to heal your gut and make your body healthy in every which way. So there's no singular food. Some people like to say, oh yeah, beets or sometimes other things like that. No, just to have all the whole food plant-based, have a diversity of foods. That's what you want to be able to have. Now, is salt that terrible? Okay, good question. Okay, here's the problem that most people face, especially in the United States. We have far too many people having too much salt. All right, we've got far too many people that have been consuming way too much salt for a long period of time. So especially the processed foods, 63% of the American diet is processed foods, and it's loaded with salt, oil, and sugar. All right, so that's the problem. We have far too much salt. We do need a little bit of salt in our diet, but not much. It's not much. Okay, so if you got to a whole food plant-based diet and you're not adding any salt, chances are you're going to get a little bit of sodium anyway, and you may have a little bit of salt, but what we show in the research is that when you add too much salt, it does increase water retention, increases the risk of hypertension. So that's one of the things that we want to decrease, especially if you've got hypertension. We want to watch the sodium level. You should be looking at your sodium levels so that it's less than 1,500 milligrams per day. So that's the number to watch. So people that have hypertension or pre-hypertension or they're close, 1,500 milligrams per day is where you want to be as far as your sodium level. So you just want to watch that. Now, tobacco. If you don't smoke it, tobacco is toxic, period. All right. So there's nothing healthy about tobacco at all. All right. So it is absolutely something that's going to cause cancer. So you don't want it, whether chewing it is absolutely toxic. Secondhand smoke is carcinogenic. All right. So there's nothing healthy about tobacco whatsoever. What I recommend to people who smoke or use nicotine or use tobacco in any way, shape, or form, there's a great book. God, it's just escaped me just a second ago. So I will put that in the email. All right. So you want to be able to, Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. So you want to be able to get that book. It's fantastic. It really works well. Every single one of my clients that has read that book has stopped smoking. They're done. Ellen DeGeneres read the book, Stop Smoking. All right. So it works really, really well. Okay. Let's see. Question: how much water should we have daily? Okay, so Dr. Brooke Goldner she chimes in with me. I think water is so important. I've been saying that for years and years and years and years and years. I'm an athlete, been a collegiate athlete. I've coached athletes for years. Hydration is so important. I know from the research that even a 2.5% decrease in hydration and water weight is enough to induce a 45% drop in athletic performance, like that. So it doesn't take much. So it's rather significant when it comes to athletic performance to have enough water, it really is. So I've always coached my athletes to have plenty of water to drink, consistently sip it all the time. So we want to be able to do it. Now, Dr. Goldner has actually done some research on this, and what she shows in working with people to be able to help them reverse the autoimmune disorders, that the optimal benefits are about 1 gallon of water a day. Now, 1 gallon of water is quite a bit. That's 128 fluid ounces. Most people cannot drink that much. Now, if you've not been drinking very much water, don't try to do it all in one day. It won't go well. So wherever you are, gradually increase your water. Just have water around. There are these jugs that you can get. They have gradations on them so that you can actually know where you're at and how much water you're drinking. So there's lots of different tricks to being able to help you drink more water. One of the most important things you want to do is drink at least 2 8-ounce glasses of water first thing in the morning, 16 ounces, at least that. More is better. You want to rehydrate first thing in the morning. We dehydrate during the night while we're sleeping, so we're losing water. So that's the most important time of the day to rehydrate, is the first thing in the morning. You want to do that first thing as soon as you get up. And then you want to keep drinking water. Now, some people don't like getting up in the middle of the night in order to urinate. I understand that. So stop drinking water about 3 hours before you go to bed. So that's what you want to do. So use some common sense around this. So don't be drinking a whole bunch of water right before you go to bed. And don't make the mistake of drinking a whole bunch first thing in the water. Don't drink water for the rest of the day until right before bedtime, then drink a whole bunch more. No, it doesn't go well. So make sure that you're consistent all the way through the day. That really helps a lot. Okay, next question. Keto. Oh, I just did a video on this. Okay, all right. So you need to check out my video on keto, and it's not what you think. All right, so I'm going to do the short answer as far as keto right now, but I'm going to encourage you to watch my video. It's a short video, and it's on my YouTube channel, and it's really good. So here's the thing, what happens, most people don't realize when we induce ketogenesis, I mean, yes, you will lose weight, but you're going to lose water weight and you're going to lose muscle weight. And it's not healthy. And yes, you will break down some fat eventually. You will break it down. You will, I promise you, but you're going to lose a lot of water weight and muscle weight. And that's not good. It's not healthy. And it's not sustainable. Now, when we do that, we start breaking down the fat. When we start breaking down the fat in ketosis, what happens is that we produce 3 different products. Okay, so we produce oxaloacetate, which is an acid, beta hydroxybutyrate, which is also another acid. These acids are then going to lead to acidosis, a lowering of the pH in our blood. In addition, we're going to start to lose sodium ions, and it will cause dehydration. So that's one of the things that will happen from those acids. In addition, there's a third product. These are the 3 ketone bodies. The third product is, drum roll please, acetone. 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 Ladies, what is acetone? You already know. Nail remover. Do you think it's healthy to actually induce the production of acetone in your bloodstream? A solvent that is toxic? Really? So next time you have a friend tell you that they're on a ketogenic diet, just hand them a bottle of nail remover. Here's a shortcut. Just drink this. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Let me go back to the smoothies for a second. Yes. When you get on the smoothie protocol, it's your medicine. All right. Actually, it's more of your medicine rather than a meal. It's more of medicine. So you want to sip it all day long. All right. So that's why I've got a glass here. I'm going to go to that every single day, and I'm going to go through that, and I just sip it. So that's what you want to be able to do. Dr. Esselstyn used to talk about eating your greens 6 times a day. So it's the same approach, but we want to do that over a long period of time. Okay, next thing. Would love to hear how to most quickly resolve insulin resistance. Oh, I love this question. Also, any comments on long COVID? All right, so let's talk about insulin resistance. Okay, so the cause of diabetes is labeled as insulin resistance. So there's many receptors on the surface of every cell in our body. And on the muscle cells in particular, you've got these particular receptors for insulin. Insulin is the master passageway hormone. So insulin is what's going to allow the transport of carbohydrates, even fats and proteins to enter into the cell. Now, insulin is necessary for carbohydrate to get into the cell. Why? Because we need to be able to metabolize the carbohydrates for fuel. Now, a lot of people have been taught, I was taught in medical school, that people on diabetes, they have high blood sugar levels. So there's a lot of sugar in their blood. And so we thought the problem was at the insulin receptor site, that the insulin receptors were not allowing the insulin to do its job of getting the sugar out of the bloodstream and into the cell. So we labeled that insulin resistance. And we thought for the longest time that the problem was the insulin receptor site. That's what we thought was the problem. In 2004, so it's been a little bit of time now, at Yale University, they did the research to actually look inside the cell in a live state and to be able to trace everything going in and out of the cell under a special MRI procedure. In that research, they were able to see that with diabetics, those cells lit up with fat inside the cell called intramyocellular lipid. And that was shocking. That was shocking. Because now the illumination was clear. We could understand what was really causing the diabetes. The diabetes was not being caused by insulin resistance. No, insulin receptor was working just fine. It was the buildup of fat inside the cell, especially the saturated and trans fats, because fat is oil. And it causes an oil slick on the inside of the cell. See, the scientists were shocked because cells are normally 90% water. But with all this oil, that oil got underneath the insulin receptors and gummed them up and blocked them from inside the cell. We never saw that before. So Dr. Neil Barnard, when he saw this research out of Yale University, he decided to do clinical studies and he tested groups of diabetics, randomly separated them into two different groups. One group followed the American Diabetic Association diet, which is high protein, low carb, high fat. The other group, what he did, he put them on a low fat, plant-based diet. Did it for 22 weeks, extended it to 72 weeks. This group got a little bit better, but not much. The low-fat, plant-based group, 3 times more effective than the American Diabetic Association group, and many of them completely reversed their diabetes. Why? Because the fat actually got eaten up and used and got cleared out of the cells. Now the cells could actually do their job and do their work and metabolize the sugar, and the insulin receptor worked just fine. So we've seen a complete reversal of diabetes using this approach, and it's very exciting. So for you, I'd recommend that you watch my webinar on my YouTube channel, Freedom from Diabetes. It's fabulous, so you'll need to get that. And then let's see, comments on COVID. So I'm going to tie this in because here's what we show. Here's what we show is that long COVID, we've actually shown at the research level how the COVID virus actually attacks the cells, because what viruses do is that they attack the cell, enter the cells, and then replicate. They basically take over in the cell cytoplasm. So they take over, and then they basically burst the cell open so that they can actually have more viruses extend throughout the whole rest of the body. So that's what they do. The viruses basically are parasitic in that they come in, they use the cell up, and then explode. Now, how does the virus gain access to the cell? How does it get inside the cell? What we've actually been able to show on this high tech MRI at the cellular level, we've been able to actually show this, that the virus enters the cell through the cholesterol molecules in the cell membrane, particularly oxidized cholesterol. Well, how does oxidized cholesterol get into the cell membrane? Now, we manufacture cholesterol. We do that specifically for hormones and receptors, even for parts of the cellular membrane, but it's not oxidized. Okay, we use cholesterol, we manufacture what we need, but oxidized cholesterol in high amounts, that's only going to get there from one way. Well, actually two. All right, so the first way is from the diet: meat, dairy, eggs, and processed foods. Meat, dairy, eggs, and processed foods will contribute to more oxidized cholesterol in the cellular membrane, giving more access for the COVID virus to enter the cells and persist for a longer period of time. Second way is going to be stress. Okay, so those are the mechanisms for how COVID can actually persist in the body for a longer period of time. So what we need to be able to do, and we actually show in the research, research was done in 6 countries showing that with healthcare workers, those who followed a plant-based diet, 73% less likely to develop COVID, so moderate to severe COVID. Those on a ketogenic diet, low carb diet, almost 400% more than the plant-based diet group. It's ridiculous, the difference, ridiculous. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, woo, I got more questions here. This is great. Oh my God, I'll make sure I'll answer them. Let's see, question, Denise, I have rheumatoid arthritis in reference to the green smoothie. Do I drink 32 ounces per day or 64 ounces per day? Well, Brooke would probably tell you to drink as much as you can and try to get to 64 ounces. It may take you a while. You may not be able to do that all at once, but if you really want to reverse a condition like that, you want to get in as much as you can. But there's more to the picture. So you need to not only look at the smoothie, but you also want to be able to change the rest of your lifestyle because everything affects your lifestyle. And Dr. Brooke Goldner agrees with me on that as well. So we need to look at all the different aspects, your sleep, your hydration, your exercise, everything else. We need to look at everything. So drink as much as you can. Drink as much as you can. So if you can get that in, great. Okay. Okay, let's see. All right, let me go back. Okay, let's see. Okay, good. Thank you, April. April's putting in all kinds of recipes and all kinds of stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, great. All right, what's my opinion on supplements like Juice Plus capsule? Great question. Great question. So one of the things that we say in lifestyle medicine is that you really don't need to take supplements except for one important supplement, that's vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, everyone, whether you're on a plant-based diet or not, you need to take vitamin B12. So that's really, really, really important. Now, in terms of getting your phytonutrients and everything else, yeah, it's a shortcut to take a supplement like Juice Plus or some other supplements that are plant-based supplements. They're better quality. They're better quality than the store-bought supplements they are. But the thing is, you're better off getting the diversity of foods. There's no way that a supplement can make up for a bad diet. There's no way. Okay, there's no way that a supplement can make up for a bad diet. So a lot of people like to say, oh, I'm just going to continue to drink my pizza and beer, have my pizza and beer and my junk food and my barbecue and all that stuff. I'll just take this Juice Plus and I'm protected. That's a fallacy. Okay, that's delusional thinking. So we have to be mindful of that. Now, some people, a supplement might be helpful if they're doing the whole food plant-based and the whole lifestyle. They've made really great changes in their lifestyle. Supplements might be helpful for them, but I always go to the foundation, which is their lifestyle. So lifestyle first. Okay. All right, let's see here. Are coconut aminos okay as a salt substitute? Let's see, April, I use miso paste as a salt substitute, and that's what Dr. Michael Greger recommends. I also use coconut aminos for flavor. I drink at least 120 ounces of water every day. Yes, good stuff. Thank you, April. All right, let's see. Okay, I can be funny at times, yes. All right, 2 years being or trying to be plant-based. Okay, 2 years being or trying to be plant-based, and I'm still fat, out of breath, low energy. What's wrong with me? Okay. Okay, so I feel you, and this is what we have to look at. So that sounds to me a lot like where Donna was. I shared the story of Donna earlier. All right, she was, she had been 8 years trying to be plant-based and still had issues. So this is where the lifestyle medicine approach is very, very helpful. We have to look at the comprehensive picture of who you are, how everything is going for you. We have to figure out where we need to turn the dials, make adjustments here and there and everywhere. And it's surprising sometimes. I mean, it was really surprising for Donna to make, for instance, one of the things Donna needed to look at, just one thing. I'm going to give you an example. There's many things. I'll give you two things. One thing is that she realized she had too much clutter in her life. So she had to take on her integrity. And she took on her integrity like no kidding. And it freed her up emotionally. It freed her up. It was huge because we got to tip the scales from sympathetic to parasympathetic. That's one thing. Another thing that Donna took on was being able to decrease the total number of grams of fat in her diet. So she was eating plant-based, but when I asked her, do you know how many grams of fat you're eating a day? And she said, no, I have no idea. I said, why don't you count? Check it out. So she measured the amount of fat that she was having on a daily basis, and it was averaging about 45 to 55 grams of fat a day. And I said, well, if we look at the studies that were done by Dr. Neil Barnard, the average grams of fat that the participants had on a whole food plant-based diet that was very, very strict was about 17 to 18 grams of fat a day. So my challenge to you is to get your grams of fat to be about 20 grams of fat a day or less. So she revamped her diet, and she was able to have a lot of food, sweet potatoes, plenty of good food, lots of greens, all kinds of things. She really revamped and reconfigured her diet, and the total grams of fat were down to about 9 to 11 grams of fat a day. And that was another factor that contributed to her being able to lose 70 pounds and being able to keep it off. So there's lots of little things that we have to look at. So a lot of people think it's one thing. There's nothing wrong with you, all right? And I want you to know this, all right? I want you to know this completely. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You were made perfectly. You were divinely made. You are perfect just the way you are. There's just something missing that you're not aware of, you don't know, and you need to have help and support to be able to do that. The 4-point approach is really important. So you want to be able to do that. Okay, let's see. All right, let me get to the next one. Okay. How long does it take once you are eating whole food, plant-based, non-processed food, vegan and SOS free, before you have significant improvement? Great question. Great question. So one of the things that happens is that as soon as you start doing this, there is immediate changes at the cellular level that start to occur. They start occurring immediately because it's sort of like your cells can come up for air and they can start to breathe again. All right, so that's what happens. It happens immediately, but you don't see it. All right, you don't see it. So there's a difference as far as significant that is visible and that you know, that you can sense, because our senses are very limited. All right, we have 5 senses, but they're very limited. We can't sense what's happening at the cellular level, but as soon as you start, immediately it starts to make a difference. It starts to free your cells up. It starts to make a difference. Your cells start to operate at a whole different level. Now, consider this. I mean, it takes about 7 years to replace every cell in your body. 7 years. You don't see that, but it's happening. So the thing is, it's significant right away because we start to swing the pendulum from sympathetic to parasympathetic, but you may not see it right off the bat. But everybody's different as far as when they start to notice. They'll start to notice at different points. They start feeling better. They start sleeping better. They start having better mood. They start being able to feel better in their clothing. They start having more energy. There's all kinds of things that start to become noticeable over time. Everybody's different. So be patient, be consistent. All right, let's see. My concern, if I drank a gallon or so of water a day, it would flush out my electrolytes. I think wrong. Okay, because then I start having foot cramps and Charlie horses and such, especially at nighttime. No, you're not flushing out your electrolytes. Your kidneys are in charge of managing your electrolyte level in perfect balance. Okay, so that doesn't happen. All right, so what happens is that we're flushing out other things, allowing our body to actually release all its toxins. So don't drink too much more than you're drinking right now. I would say if you're drinking, let's say you're drinking 64 ounces of water a day. Don't jump from 64 ounces to a gallon. That's going to cause issues. All right, that's too much. Increase it by 4 to 8 ounces. Hold that for about a week. All right, and then increase it a little bit more. Hold that for about a week. All right, small steps, gradually increase. So that's what you want to be able to do. Most of the time, cramps and Charlie horses are caused by, one, dehydration. So it's probably not happening when you're drinking a lot of water, but there's also other things that could be happening as well. So there could be flexibility issues. There could be other issues as well. So there's lots of different causes. I'm not going to go into it right now. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go into, but get back to me in particular. We can discuss that. All right. Let's see. Jody, I went off sugar 4 years ago and started walking. It still took 6 months to start moving the scale. It could. It could, because that's just one thing that you change. If you went off sugar, which is absolutely toxic, it absolutely is. And that's a great thing that you were able to get off of it. And walking really helps. And one of the things that happens is that the scale is not going to tell you the truth of your body composition. It can't. It can't. So Jody, you may want to watch my Lose Weight, Feel Great webinar on my YouTube channel. It's really good, because the thing is, body composition is going to change. And sometimes when you're walking and you get off sugar, what happens is the fat's going down and the muscle's going up. So the thing is, there might be a change for quite some time. So you may not see a net change on the scale for quite a while. So that's not uncommon for that to occur. So check out that webinar. Let's see. Denise, how long can you keep the green smoothie in the fridge to keep all the nutrients? I wouldn't keep it more than the second day. I would try to get it done within the day you make it, and by the next day finish it. So I would try to get it done. Don't keep it too long. All right, Wanda, I've seen a lot of people who have undergone medically supervised water fasting to help with chronic health conditions and to reset the taste palates that get them on track for a healthy start and support. Are you familiar with great results from water fasting? Okay, so there are my friends at the True North Health Center in Santa Rosa. All right, I know Dr. Alan Goldhammer and Doug Lyle and Dr. Anthony Lim. All right, over there, they're great guys, great people. I personally do not agree with doing water fasting for almost everybody. It's rather intense, it's rather severe. Neurologically, most people can't handle it because it's going to put you in the sympathetic state. Your brain is going to trigger and you're going to be in that sympathetic state. So it's very, very difficult to do. It is. It can produce dramatic results. There are many things that can produce dramatic results. This one can. I don't recommend it as a first order of business. First order of business, I recommend change your lifestyle. Work on changing the fundamentals. Let's change the foundation first. Let's not go to extreme measures first off the bat. Let's not do that. Let's work on changing your habits. The way they do it at True North is kind of backwards as far as I'm concerned. It's sometimes warranted. I get it. But it's extreme. It's extreme. And then what they do is trying to backpedal you into getting into a good set of habits. I prefer the other direction. Let's get the habits established first. That's where we want to go first. Okay, so that's my response there. Let's see. Coach Rubin, I need to leave. Okay, got it. All right, I've spent a lot of time at True North and value the ability to do this under medical supervision. And it would have to be under medical supervision. Absolutely, because believe me, it's true. It is not something you want to mess with on your own. It just isn't. So you'd have to do it with medical supervision. Okay. Thank you for your time. Anybody else have a live question they want to ask? I'll entertain one. Raise your hand or just go on and unmute yourself and then ask your question. Anybody, anything at all. I'll stay for just a couple more minutes. Let's see. Anything at all. Boy, this has been amazing. You guys have been fantastic. All right, Linda, you're on. Go.
Hi, I get a sinus infection. When I go to sleep, I'm okay in the day. My sinuses are okay in the day. As soon as I go to sleep, I can't breathe through my nose.
Mm-hmm.
You have any recommendation with that?
Okay, so so for that, okay, that sounds like a very particular issue. Okay, so for that, you may want to, there might be a few things going on. I'm not sure if there's anything from your diet that could be contributing to that. Possible. I don't know. Okay, there could be something physical going on in terms of a deviated septum or some kind of inflammation going on inside your nose. I'm not sure about that. All right, so what might be good for you to do is to get checked by an ENT doctor who is preferably plant-based. All right, so I would do that to get that checked, because sometimes what happens when we go into the reclining position to sleep, there might be a change in terms of how your nose is functioning. That I'm not an expert in at all, but you might want to check in with somebody who is much more knowledgeable about how that works. Now, if you're having symptoms of difficulty breathing and snoring or that kind of stuff, you may need to check into that. Usually being on a plant-based diet actually helps resolve snoring or any difficulties with that. So you may want to check that out. So I'm not sure what to tell you on that one. Okay, but I would see, and by the way, get the publication that I'm going to send you, the Family Practice Journal, get that and find an ENT, make sure he's got that journal so he can use that as a reference to see what might be going on for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one more. Anyone else? Go live, unmute yourself. One more question. Anyone else?
I have one.
Yes.
Could you talk briefly about metabolic syndrome?
Okay, I'm going to make it brief. All right, so metabolic syndrome is basically when our body is in shutdown mode. I'm going to be very, very simple here. So our body has the ability to metabolize food and actually do its job to break things down and to use those metabolites to actually make new things, make proteins, manufacture the carbohydrates that we need, manufacture the fatty acids that we need, all the things that we need. But when we're in the sympathetic state, especially when we're in the sympathetic state for a prolonged period of time, what happens is that our ability to metabolize everything and work properly starts to break down. So what happens is that we start seeing all kinds of issues. So everything starts to break down. We start to see inflammation. We start to see that we're not producing the metabolites of our food that we're eating. We're not breaking down the food properly. And we're causing all kinds of toxins in our body as well. So everything can start to break down. It'll affect our kidneys, it'll affect our gut, it'll affect our brain, it'll affect every organ in the body. So that's one of the things that happens. This is why lifestyle medicine is so powerfully important, because people with that condition, metabolic syndrome, all related. It's all related to all chronic disease. What we want to be able to do is shift the whole arena of how the body is working. So we can shift and tip the scales from being predominantly sympathetic to being predominantly parasympathetic. That's why lifestyle medicine is so powerful and so important. So great question with that. Okay, I'm going to say thank you for your time. Thank you for all your interest, and thank you for all the wonderful questions. This has been fantastic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email with the slides, with the recording. I'm going to also send you lots of resource information. I've got the text from everything, so I'm going to look up lots of different things to send you, as well as references and resources, so that you have that. Please feel free to check out my services and what I offer. If you're interested, please send me an email. Send me information that you're interested in and you want more information. I'll be happy to send that to you. I'm happy to answer any and all questions that you have. Thank you. It's been an honor to serve you. And it's my privilege. I am passionate about eliminating chronic disease from the face of the planet. I also want to let you know that if you want to work with April, please let me know as well. All right. So April's great. I'm going to send you her contact information. She's terrific. She's a trainer. She can work online. She's also a nutritionist. She is terrific. She'll set you up with your nutrition. She is a clinical plant-based nutritionist, so she's awesome. All right, so we'll set you up for success. Thank you, and goodbye.